Welcome to Messy Christian Mamas. We are three Christian moms with a progressive mindset and loving hearts and minds. We are imperfect humans, but we're all loved in God's sight. At some point, we've all felt like the church and Christianity may not have been for us, but God isn't looking for perfection. He's just looking for you.
We are not experts in Christian theology, and we do not represent any particular Christian faith or church. We are simply here to be authentic, and we hope you join us on this journey.
Hello, and welcome back to Messy Christian Mamas. This is Kendra.
This is Kaylee.
And this is Ashley.
And today we are talking all about Lent, getting ready for Lent. It's a lot. It's a big season we have coming up. And not just for church workers, but everybody that attends a church as well. So what is Lent? There's a lot of different camps around what Lent is. Kaylee, I'll come back to you in a minute because I know your Catholic experience probably gives you a much different lens on this. But the definition from the ELCA is Lent is the 40-day season, excluding Sundays, of penitence and preparation for the 3 days of Holy Week and Easter. Now get ready. I think there are some words that I can't pronounce in here, so get all your adult beverages ready. The term Lent originally comes from the Anglo-Saxon word Lengten, which means spring. This is the time in the northern hemisphere when the days are lengthening. The season began as a period of fasting leading up to the vigil of Easter. Catechumens, got through that one. Those preparing for baptism at Easter would fast and spend days in intense preparation. For those that were already baptized, Lent was a period to be renewed in their faith by studying the Bible, the Creed, and the Lord's Prayer. Although it was originally only a 2-day period of preparation, Lent became a 3-week preparatory period in the middle of the 4th century, and then this was further expanded into 6 weeks or 40 days. So by the end of the 5th century, there was a desire to exclude Sundays from Lent, since Sundays are always celebrated as feasts of the resurrection. Thus, Lent begins not on Sunday, but on Ash Wednesday. The current practice of 40 days of Lent recalled Jesus' 40-day fast in the wilderness after his baptism, as well as Moses' 40-day fast on Mount Sinai. So that's what the ELCA, that's what our Lutherans have to say about it. Now, there's also a definition I have here that is much more succinct from the United States Conference of Catholic Bishops. So Lent is a 40-day season of prayer, fasting, and almsgiving that begins on Ash Wednesday and ends at sundown on Holy Thursday. It's a period of preparation to celebrate the Lord's resurrection at Easter. During Lent, we seek the Lord in prayer by reading sacred scripture, we serve by giving alms, and we practice self-control through fasting. We are called not only to abstain from luxuries during Lent, but to a true inner conversion of heart as we seek to follow Christ's will more faithfully. We recall the waters of baptism, in which we were also baptized into Christ's death, died to sin and evil, and began new life in Christ. So, lots of definitions.
I love that that is succinct for Catholics.
Well, I mean,
still a whole mouthful of words.
It's a half as much a mouthful.
But after the masses, I'm like, no, that was pretty good.
So, Ashley, what is Lent for you?
So I actually really like Lent a lot. I like Lent and I like Advent. I like these seasons of leading up, the anticipation of a big party. So growing up at our church here, growing up Lutheran, I remember we really dove into this a lot during confirmation, and it really meant a lot to me about learning how to experience sacrifice in my own life. That was sort of what it was for, was to feel what it's like to give up things that you really want, but you don't necessarily need, and how that is a practice to make your character stronger and more like Jesus. So I did give up stuff for Lent every year, starting in high school. Until,
don't tell us yet what you're doing this year, but go ahead if you're...
Yeah, until I was a mom, and then I stopped because I felt like I was already giving up so much.
I sacrifice my body,
right.
sacrifice my sanity.
Right, like,
Amen.
Not going out anymore.
Jesus, I
like, just
feel you. I feel you.
So, Kaylee, what about you? What's Lent for you?
So, when we were growing up, We really only attended Mass and were Catholic when my grandparents were around. And really, my grandmother, my grandfather could care less. So we always knew, like, the Catholic definition of Lent. So it really was, like, you had to sacrifice something that really meant a lot for you. And we would always try to, like, get around it, be like, oh, I'm going to give up homework, like, for Lent. And my dad would be like, no, that's not how that works. But then when living in the South, we went to a United Methodist church growing up, and Lent just really wasn't a thing. Like, you had an Ash Wednesday service, and then you had Holy Week, but there really wasn't, like, people didn't give up things for Lent. Like, a lot of the Baptist churches don't really, give up something for Lent. A lot of the churches down here in the South don't really do it. So I kind of fell out of the practice of doing it until I was older and I came back to the Lutheran church, or Catholic Light.
AKA Catholic Light, right?
That's what I like to call it. And I really, like, started to lean really back into Lent, because I do feel like it is a good reminder, of just, again, on a very, very basic light scale of what Jesus went through and what Moses went through. But it is a good kind of daily reminder to observe your faith and to remember that, the sacrifice is only little. I will say, and I'm sure you bring it up later, I will say, coming to the Lutheran church, there is one thing that the Lutherans do that really threw me, because I don't remember the Catholics ever talking about it, was not saying the word Alleluia during Lent. Like, I don't actually have that later, but it's a good one. I had never heard of that. And when, the first ministry I was really involved in here was children's ministry, and that was this huge thing at Ash Wednesday, was bearing the Alleluia, and you don't say it for 40 days, and I'm like, why? Why? That just didn't make... It still doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but...
It's because we're supposed to delay the celebration of Jesus. It's kind of confusing, because every Lent season, I feel like that I've been a worship leader, we always say, oh shit, at the last minute, I have to redo a bunch of music.
All the songs.
Because we're like, oh,
you don't realize, like, how often you actually say it until you can't say it. And then you're just like, it's like the game of taboo for 40 days. You can't say hallelujah.
We just had to do it a couple weeks ago.
I don't remember that being... I guess I still have lots of friends who are Catholic. I guess I could ask them to see if it's a thing in the Catholic tradition, because I just don't know any other tradition.
From what I've heard, that it's more Lutheran and Methodist is my understanding. But the Methodist churches I've been around never had that as a thing. And Brad grew up in the Methodist churches intensely with two grandfathers who are pastors.
Yeah,
they didn't do it. But it's you're supposed to delay the celebration of Jesus by not. By holding off on the Hallelujah, Alleluia until Easter. But at the same time, Sundays are not a part of Lent, because they are, what did I call it in here? They are you have, like, the feast. You celebrate the feast on Sundays. I can't find it. But anyway.
Which growing up I didn't do. Like, when I gave something up, I gave it up for the whole time.
Yeah, so I didn't realize that Sunday was like a scapegoat.
It's like a cheat day.
I didn't realize that. For years I could have had chocolate.
Right.
Never did.
Yep. Because you were really giving something up then for like 46, 47 days.
Yeah. That was the other thing too. I never realized that Sundays and, like, the holy days weren't included in that. So...
I don't know that a lot of people do necessarily, because you
just think 40 days. And
you don't really
talk
about on Sundays. Well, today isn't really a part of Lent.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it's also like teaching the 4th and 5th graders. It can be really confusing. So I'm just, as we come into the season of Lent, this is something that we are going to start teaching them. We're doing the colorful characters, just like the sermon series that we're doing at our church. We're doing, like, a really condensed version of that for the kids as well. And it is one of these things where I know I'm going to get questions of, like, why can't we say hallelujah? Why doesn't it count on Sundays? And I'll be like, this is why we have pastors. I don't know. So it's just...
Anna's preaching during, again. I'm excited for that.
Yes.
She's doing Thomas, and her take is Thomas's honesty.
Yay.
I saw that,
I really love when she preaches so much.
Me too.
I had to ask Pastor Fred
of the show.
for the list, And I'm excited about the people that we're covering.
Absolutely. I think it'll be a good one. I wish we had women in there, but that's
Well,
okay.
you know.
Pastor Katie was going to preach on Dorcas, but she got called to serve as an interim pastor
That's okay. We have
at
Anna.
another church very quickly. I know. I'm glad that Anna will be there.
I love the
For
fact
sure.
that Anna has been preaching
Me too.
at the church.
So what is Lent for me? Lent for me, I really like Lent as a time similar to Advent, like you said, Ashley. It's like this time of reflection and contemplation, and as as you spend that time thinking about the journey to Easter and all those things that Jesus went through in his final days, I feel like there's just something about Lent and observing some of the practices of Lent that really help it hit home and just feel a little more grounded and help you better understand the pain and the sacrifice and the struggle that he was experiencing, more so than if you didn't adopt any of that into your own Lenten journey. So yeah, I would agree with you. I think that it's nice to have that piece of sacrifice.
And it's nice to know the ending. It's like it's struggle and pain, but there's a big celebration, something happy at the end.
Agreed. Agreed. So the traditional rules of Lent, Kaylee, based on your Catholic background from your family, what do you understand as the traditional rules of Lent, or what did you observe?
So Tuesday, you get to have a really big party, and you go all out. And
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Right?
Mardi Gras.
Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
You go all out.
Not every
You take-
Tuesday.
You come in. No, not every Tuesday. You had all your sins on the Tuesday.
Get it out of
You're
your
telling
system.
for them on Wednesday. And being a bartender in Savannah, who also worked at a Jewish educational center, like, this season was always so much fun for me
Oh, I bet.
because it's such a, like, there's so much religion in Savannah, but there's so much partying as well.
Yeah.
And, like, Mardi Gras was always so much fun. And then the next day, you did have this air of somber over the city, but I think that was more just hungover.
Same in New Orleans too. That's like Catholicism and Mardi Gras go hand in hand.
It's
Yeah.
huge. It's like, well, yeah, because the French, the whole French Quarter. And so we always went to Ash Wednesday. We had the ash, always got our ashes. And ours were, when we were really little, my dad would take us to get our ashes. And then my grandparents were never here until Easter. So a lot of them just skipped, like, Ash Wednesday. We knew what it was. But I always loved seeing people with the ashes on their forehead, especially when I was, like, bartending and waitressing. I loved seeing people come in with the ashes.
There's like a kinship you feel with
Yeah,
other
I was
people,
like,
right?
ooh, I know what you are. It's like a really quick visual for people. And I love how we do it here, too. And then we would always discuss what we were going to give up and to hold each other accountable. My family being my family, it became more of a competition.
Sure.
There's like a tally board of, like, who sinned when.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was like
That's so funny.
It was a big thing, and you would, like, try to hide, like, if you were gonna cheat, like, you try to hide it, and then, like, your sisters would always catch you, or like I would catch, like, mom and dad, and, like, we were constantly telling on each other. It didn't raise the Pointek family morale very much. The 40 days.
I was always so vocal about it in high school, I think for attention though. I was like, oh, I can't have chocolate. It's Lent.
I remember, like, going to Sandy Creek, going to the public high school down here. I remember one year I gave up, can't remember what I gave up for Lent, but I remember being very vocal about it. And this just being such a, like, Protestant area, them just being like, what?
Right.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
Like, I had, like, 3 Catholic friends that were just like, we get it. Like, we get it. Like, rolling their eyes. And then Holy Week would come, and I love Holy Week. I love Holy Week more now as an adult and as a mom and a teacher than I do, like, I've ever done before, because I know so much more about the significance of each of the days, because I never understood why it was called Good Friday. I was, like, always very confused about that.
It's still weird.
It's still weird. I think we're using the wrong adjective, but that's fine. We're gonna let it it's standing for thousands of years. Let it stand. But I love that weekend. Easter was always just a huge family day is like Christmas. Just like at the end of Advent, you have Christmas. The end of Lent, you have Easter, and that's when you would get your new dress, and you go to church with your entire family, and we would take all the forced family photos, and then we'd have a big Easter dinner with ham and potato salad and big Easter egg hunt and everything. So yeah, I have really fond memories of Lent.
Okay.
So, Hallow, the resource for all things Catholic these days, had this fantastic article on the traditional rules of Lent, and they said on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday, fasting rules allow Catholics to eat only one full meal and two smaller meals, which combined would not equal a single normal meal. So additionally, Catholics may not eat meat on these 2 days or on any Friday during Lent.
That I do remember.
Yeah.
Fish only.
Fish only, right. So fish fries are a really big deal on Fridays,
Yeah.
like in Catholic schools and
Which I always used to
churches.
argue was meat. My dad was like, Kaylee, don't look into this too hard.
Brad tried to argue that with me too. I was like, when have you been Catholic? Why are
He's
you in
like,
the
don't look
court
into
here?
this too hard, Kaylee. Just eat the salmon. It's fine.
Have y'all seen Chocolat? That movie. I love that movie. That I think that's the only reason I know Lent rules is from that movie.
Oh, interesting. Okay, I haven't seen it.
Oh, it's so
I do
good.
have
Good.
Wasn't that Johnny Depp?
I know, maybe worse now that Johnny Depp's turned out to be such a jerk, but
Well, I don't. Is he?
who knows?
I
Who
don't
knows?
know.
I'm
Who
still
knows?
Team Johnny, so.
okay. Anyway,
Okay, so abstaining from meat on Fridays during Lent, which we just talked about, whereas Catholics fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday with just one large meal, Catholics must refrain from eating meat on other Fridays, though they can have 3 full meals on Fridays. So those ages 18 to 59 in reasonable health are required to fast on Ash Wednesday and Good Friday. Those 14 and older must abstain from meat on Fridays during Lent. Canon law does mention that for young children not fasting, parents should still communicate the meaning and penance. Children, adults with physical and mental illness, pregnant women, and those nursing are all exempt. The USCCB stresses that common sense should prevail and that no one should jeopardize their health to fast.
that was my question. Like, what about if you're diabetic or pre-diabetic?
No.
Like, you need to eat constantly.
Yeah, no, you get
Don't be a
pass.
dummy. Take care of yourself, basically.
You get a pass.
Right. So Lent ends on Holy Thursday, but Lenten fasting and personal commitments usually continues until Easter. How do you say Papal?
Papal.
Papal?
Well,
Okay.
I say papal because I live in the South. It is papal. But
It's papal. Okay.
I say papal.
Papal document. Here we go. Get your shots ready. Pascalis Solemnitatis, something like that.
Oh, that's
That's
right.
probably not right. Recommends this in order that we, with uplifted and welcoming heart, be ready to celebrate the joys of the Sunday of the Resurrection. So one question that came up in this article was, can you eat meat on Good Friday? On the one hand, Good Friday is part of the Easter Triduum, which marks the end of Lent. However, since Good Friday itself is a day of abstinence, it's best to abstain from meat, as in the Fridays of Lent. It's been custom for Catholics to give something up during Lent as well, in addition to the fastings and abstinence rules. Some keep their sacrifice continuously, but Sundays during Lent are not prescribed days of fasting and abstinence. Ultimately, it's a personal decision. Then another question came up, can you drink on Ash Wednesday? Like drink anything. What are the fasting rules around beverages? Normal rules around fasting before receiving communion, abstaining from food an hour before Mass apply during Lent. Outside of that, so just to say that again, fasting before receiving communion, which is not something we do in the Lutheran Church, so that was a new one for me. Outside of that, there are no specific rules around liquids, so coffee, tea, and soda are fine. A smoothie that constitutes a meal would probably count as food. The Church does not specifically limit alcohol. A person's personal discretion is best. And the last question was,
Interesting.
when they talk about abstinence, what about sex? And it was like, that does not apply. Abstinence does not apply to that concept during Lent.
Although you're probably not going to
Interesting.
want to be doing it if you're fasting and with the rest of it anyway. Not really feeling
I don't
sexy during that time. So. I just remember, like, with Ash Wednesday, the fasting thing, I don't think really mattered because everyone always went to really early morning Mass.
Yeah.
To get your ashes, like, first thing in the morning. Like, people would have them, like, at work and at school. So, you didn't really have to fast because you were going to Mass at, 7:30.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We do the drive-through ashes here. I don't know if you guys have ever done those here, but yeah, from, 11:30 to 1:30, you can do a drive-through and be blessed and get your ashes.
Oh, that's
drive
cool.
through the parking lot,
reach through the window.
right? And do you guys know where our ashes come from? You
Yes,
probably
I
do.
love
Do you know where the
this.
ashes here come from? It's really cool.
It's
they take
awesome.
the palms from the previous Palm Sunday.
Oh, that is
They
cool.
burn them, and that's the ashes that they use.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I love that so much. Okay, so let's talk about our Lenten plans and what we're planning for Lent. So I'll talk about mine, and then would love to hear about what you guys might be doing, or Ashley, what you might not be doing.
Right?
Having children. Sacrificing myself every day. So I'm starting a small group with a friend of the show who actually hasn't been on the show, Shelly.
Yeah, we
Hi,
need to
Shelley.
remedy that.
I know. We need
Behind
to.
the
She's
scenes
saying,
times.
no, you don't. I'm sure on the other side of this podcast. But she and I are starting a small group. It's inspired by the 40-40 challenge. And that challenge is all about walking a mile a day for every day during Lent, and then also having a daily devotion alongside that. So we're doing that, and we'll be texting out those daily devotions and then meeting here at the church on Mondays to walk together and do a devotion together. And so if anybody listening wants in on that, you don't have to meet up with us. I can just text you and you could be a part of it and do the walking on your own.
Yay.
So what about, and the other thing, I'm also thinking about trying to observe a traditional Catholic Lent just for the experience of it, just to see, just curious, just to see if my Lent experience feels different or my Easter feels different as a result of that. So Brad was really not pleased when I suggested that we have fish on Fridays. So it sounds like he's out, but
You don't have to do fish. You
Oh,
just
I
do
love fish.
pasta.
I eat fish like every day.
I know. I like fish too. He's not a fan. So
Actually, if you're
check
going to
that-
only do, you only do it every other week. No, you just
Oh, yeah.
Right. That's true. That's true.
You
Good point.
observe Lent, and then the weeks that you have, because be like, nope, chocolate for me this week. Jesus, I need it.
So fingers crossed, but I'll check back in on my progress and let you guys know how it's going. We'll see
I
how
think
that goes.
I think that's a really cool idea to kind of observe a little bit more strict Lent. I mean, you did all that fasting last year.
I
thought
did.
you were crazy, but
That was a little crazy.
that was
So,
an extreme.
anybody else?
I am not giving up anything.
That's fair.
But I think I do want to add prayer. I'm not really great at praying consistently, and I want to. And I especially want to pray for other people. I think like every day I want to think of somebody I can pray for.
That's great.
Yeah.
I am going to give up soda.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh my gosh, I
I
couldn't do
know.
that.
Not caffeine.
Not caffeine. Oh, God, no.
And we need to talk about like the hardest
World.
things that you gave up in the past.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
soda's always really difficult. Like when I was losing all the weight, it wasn't hard because I cut soda out before. But I've really gone back to the Diet Coke.
Yeah, I got a bad habit.
I've got a bad habit of the Diet Coke, and then it's been like slipping into like regular Coke and in the energy drinks.
Slippery slope.
It's a slippery. It's a gateway. It's a gateway drug. So I know I can't give up caffeine because I don't want to go to jail, and
Right.
I don't want to lose my job nor my family.
Caffeine is really hard because like it includes chocolate. It includes like ibuprofen has caffeine in it.
Yeah.
Like all this stuff has
so much
caffeine.
stuff.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Again, I need it, and Jesus understands that.
Right.
No, so I think I'm gonna give up. I think I'm gonna give up soda, and I'm we've always kind of skirted the thing with Charlie. Like Charlie's, I think gave up soda like last year. She did really good at it actually. So I think we'll do something again this year. Would love her to give up her attitude. For the 90 days.
I'm in on that one.
The tween angst.
Back talking.
Yeah, you can just give up.
The like having the last word.
That would be great. If we could just get rid of the entitlement for 40 days, that would be fantastic.
I know. I'd feel like a new woman without it.
It'd be so refreshed.
I think the hardest things I've given up in the past, so I did give up caffeine one year. Chocolate's hard to give up. One year I gave up French fries. That was really, really hard.
Oh man.
One year I tried to give up gossiping. That was another super hard one. Yeah, it goes the hardest.
Yeah, I've been thinking about giving up TikTok.
Oh.
Really?
I gave up fast food
I've been spending too
a
much
few
time
years
on it.
ago, and that was really hard. I kept trying to justify this Chick-fil-A wasn't fast food. It totally is.
It's
I was like,
bougie
it's
fast
Christian.
food. It's Christian chicken.
So expensive.
Jesus' chicken.
Comes at a premium.
Yeah. Jesus would want me to support them. Okay. No, so I gave up fast food a few years ago, and that is something like I go back and forth about. It's an alarm saying what Charlie's about to go to. I go back and forth whether or not it's going to be fast food or soda, because I feel like fast food would be more of the sacrifice, and that's what giving up something for Lent actually
Supposed to be
is
about.
supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah, like it's not supposed to be like something that you have every once in a while. It's like something that
Right.
is kind of part, like an unhealthy habit that you have on a daily basis.
Well, they talk about luxuries,
Yeah.
which I thought was an interesting word to use. Giving up a luxury, not feeling like you have all those luxuries during that time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of stuff that people give up, like I know some people give up like social media, which I feel like if it's an issue for you, then yes, you give up social media. But don't go on social media and be like, oh, I'm giving up social media for Lent. Look how strong I am. Look how dedicated I am. Like, okay, calm down. Like,
Yeah.
you're not gonna post your pictures of lunch for the next like month. Chill out. You're not a martyr.
I don't know why anyone ever has to announce that they're giving up
Exactly.
whatever. Like, why do you need to announce
Like,
it?
why are you having to tell me? Just
And usually
go
people
away.
who do, they're really back in like 24 hours.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm back.
Like, whatever. But yeah, it needs to be, like whenever you were a kid and you would be like, I'm gonna give up school. For you. You can't really do that.
Does Charlotte do Lent with you?
She did, she gave up soda last year and she did pretty good. I think she only had it like twice the whole time, and it was when we were out to dinner and it just kind of slipped our mind.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think this year, that's why I'm kind of thinking the fast food thing, because it has kind of become an issue with, because we're so busy and we're constantly having to do drive-through dinners and stuff. I think just because I'm lazy and I don't plan accordingly. So I think that might be something that like we need to sit down and actually talk about and say, okay, this is what we're both going to give this up for Lent. I am going to do a 40 for 40. I can't be here on Mondays. But I'm going to do 40 for 40, and I'm going to do a version of that with her.
Okay.
Not a whole mile,
Love it.
because we just don't have time. But, like, on the weekends, like, going to have, like, outdoor
I love that.
walking time.
I would do that with y'all every other week.
Yeah.
Are you walking in the mornings or in the afternoon?
It's like 4:30
Afternoon,
to
evening.
5:30.
Oh, great.
Yep.
I'll see you I think first Monday you guys do it. I'll see, or no, maybe the second Monday. I'll see one of the Mondays because I'll be here for partial meeting. So I'll see you guys at the very end
The
of it.
second.
Yeah. So I'll see you guys.
Well,
No, it'll be the one right before. It'll be the one right before Easter.
we won't.
It'll be the April
Yeah,
one.
the one right, because we won't meet yet.
No. So it'll be
The first
April.
week of
It'll
March,
be April that I see you guys, because I'll be here for partial meeting.
Yep.
So I'll just wait for you guys.
We'll say hello. You can crochet and walk with us, ladies.
I have tried to crochet and walk. I don't know how to
Yeah,
do
that
how
sounds
people do
difficult.
that
Yeah.
because
That sounds
I
very
see
difficult.
people doing it on treadmills like all the time. There's like all these videos of Elise Myers, who I love, has lots of videos of her on like the treadmill crocheting. And I'm
Wow.
like, I can't
No.
walk and talk, let alone.
My dad can't chew gum and walk. It's actually hilarious. He starts like tripping on everything.
I was at
can't
the
do
office I
it.
used to work in. They had a treadmill desk, and I tried to do a meeting from the room that had the treadmill desk on the treadmill desk, and I
How?
made an absolute ass of myself.
No.
Oh man.
Those treadmills, for some reason, I can walk outside perfectly fine.
I know, they frighten me.
Treadmills, I get on a treadmill, I get dizzy. I get
Yeah,
like
yeah.
really bad vertigo.
Me too.
Like, I constantly feel like I'm about to, like, fall to the side. I have no idea why I can't walk on a treadmill like a normal person.
Like you're on a rooftop or something.
Yeah, like, I'm like... I can walk out, like, I can walk for, like, a good 30, 45 minutes outside with hills and everything like that and be perfectly fine. I'll be out of breath. I can't talk while I'm doing it, but I would still be fine. I won't fall. I go to the gym, I do, like, 10 minutes on the treadmill at the gym, and I really do feel like I like am recovering from some major traumatic event and I just have lost all capability.
I honestly have to
walking.
stop myself from dancing on the treadmill like that band.
Oh yeah.
I just like let it go,
okay,
let
go.
it go. Yeah.
No, I can barely stand on one, let alone anything else. Although all of the gym equipment is a little difficult for me, except for the pool with my senior citizen friends, not
Yeah.
aerobics.
That's nice.
What
My
I
bike
enjoy.
is the only thing that's ever really worked for me.
Even with the bike, I can't.
So now let's transition. It is time for some messy Christian drama. Maybe Catholic drama in this case. So this post comes from the Am I the Asshole subreddit. The user is The Writing Never Ends. So the title, Am I the Asshole for sending meat in my son's lunches on Fridays in Lent when he goes to a Catholic school?
Yes.
So, okay, based on the title, do we have...
I'm just gonna go with yes. Why do you even have to ask?
I'm thinking, well,
What's your
Charlie's little bestie goes to a Catholic school, and he's not Catholic. And so that's something that he would definitely do.
So what's your vote?
He is a little bit of an asshole. That's a little mean. I don't know, because I don't know like how much the kids are really... I'm sure it goes into the story.
It does, but
I don't know if the kids are really...
Based on the title.
I don't know. I guess it depends on how much the Catholic kids are really following it.
Well, let's read about it.
Well, I think it's kind of like if I go to a friend's house and they're Asian and they have customs of taking off their shoes. That like, yes, I should take off my shoes because I'm not going to be a jerk. you know?
Right? I remember one of my grandmothers had a sign in her house that said, like, thank you for not smoking, that she put up right before my other grandmother, who was a chain smoker, came over to the house. And she looked at the sign, laughed, and lit up a cigarette.
Okay.
Ooh.
I feel like it's that kind of move.
You guys remember you could smoke in Waffle House? I was just thinking about that the other day.
Passive aggressive to aggressive, real quick.
It was, shoot. There wasn't a lot of passive in her aggressive.
Oh, wow.
All right, here's how the story goes. My son attends a Catholic elementary school. We are not Catholic. He goes there for the small class sizes and excellent education. The school is open to anyone of any religion. The students are required to attend a weekly mass and be respectful during prayer, but aren't required to actively participate. One of my son's classmates pointed out today that he was the only one at the table with meat in his lunch, as today was a Friday in Lent, and many of the other students are Catholic. My son pointed out that he's not Catholic, and a teacher chimed in and asked how he'd feel if he wasn't allowed to eat sugar and his friends ate sugary treats in front of him. He said he'd understand not everyone was like him. That's my boy. However, when the situation was mentioned in front of a family member, she said we were being really inconsiderate of the other students, the school, and the church, and should consider meatless lunches for the next few Fridays. So, am I the asshole for letting him continue taking meat in his Friday lunches? FYI, there also aren't many meatless options he'll eat. He even hates peanut butter and similar options.
Okay, well then I think you're just being petty.
Yeah.
Yes, I think she is being one. Because I feel like if it's been addressed to you as a courtesy type thing and you're just insisting on still doing it because you are insisting to do it, then yeah, you're being a little bit of an asshole.
Yeah.
And sometimes there's not a whole lot of meatless options that he'll eat. Okay, well you have a picky eater and that's your cross to bear. But like, that's not the church's cross to bear. That's not the school's cross to bear.
Thoughts, Ashley?
Yeah, I just think when you're in a place that has a certain custom, I think you should follow those customs. Maybe you go to another country, like you should follow the customs of that country, and not be like, well, it's not my custom, so I'm not going to do it. You know,
Right.
That's just not.
It's not like I believe in meat.
Right.
Like, you know,
Right.
It's not like a core belief
Right.
tenet or something. So Reddit actually ruled this person not the asshole, but there's a lot of comments. I mean, it's sort of the Reddit machine. Like, if there's no school policy banning meat during Lent, or I'll bet those students wouldn't think twice about eating a ham sandwich in front of a Jewish kid. Well, because it's a Catholic school. So
If you're
if a
at a
Jewish kid
Jewish
attended a
school,
Catholic school, then those
Right.
would be different customs that would probably be addressed in that school,
Yeah,
right?
if you were sending your Catholic kid to a Jewish school with a ham and cheese sandwich, you would be an asshole. Like, I'm sorry,
Right.
like, that's not nice.
Right. Yeah. So I agree with you, ladies. So we are in the minority, according to this story.
Well, there's a lot of
There we
jerks on
have
Reddit.
Yeah, there are a lot of jerks on Reddit.
Right.
Okay, so let's close in prayer. Who
Okay.
wants to pray this time? Looks like me.
Okay.
The Lord be with you.
And
Also with you.
Father, please, thank you first, Lord. Thank you for this time that we get to spend together, and this time we get to spend trying to better understand your word and your desires for us and the ways of your church, Lord. Please help us to build bridges to make a better relationship with you, with your son, Jesus, Father, as we approach the season of Lent, to utilize that season to make us stronger in our faith. Thank you for all that you do for us, all the blessings that you provide to us every single day. In your holy name and the holy name of your son.
Amen.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Messy Christian Mamas. You can find us on YouTube, Spotify, Facebook, and Instagram. Until next time, embrace the mess, share the love, and shine your light bright, my friends.